want to build a small bench to sit here and be able to put on your shoes while you're getting dressed. I think my wife will like that. I want something pretty simple, and because of that, I think I might do something kind of rustic. Since everything in here is very modern, I think that might look good to have some contrast. So let me show you what I'm gonna do. When I went to the lumber store, I happened to just ask if they had a coal pile or something that would be about 45 inches long. I didn't really need a whole board for the top of this based on the dimensions in the closet. And wouldn't you know, they had a pile, they were probably just basically going to scrap, and the guy ended up giving me this huge 2x10 by 12 foot for free. And it's pretty good looking, it's straight, and it will totally work for this project. So it never hurts to ask, always remember that. So this is it right here. I'm going to measure and cut some off for our top and then go about cleaning it up a little bit so I can see what's underneath. I am going to challenge myself to just use a skill saw or circular saw and tilt the base to 15 degrees to make these cuts so that the legs have a little bit of splay. I'm gonna see how that goes. If it goes horribly, I might go borrow my friend's miter saw. I don't have a miter saw in my shop right now, but I think I can do everything I need with just this tool. I'm just doing a little bit of layout here, so I want the outside of my leg section to be about 2 inches in from the end on each side. And then I was figuring out where my lower stretcher is going to be for these. And so I want the 2x4, it's going to be turned opposite, and it'll make more sense when I show you in a little bit, to be turned the other way. So it's going to be 1 inch from that end and then centered, and it's a 1.5. So I came 2.5 inches off of this line to here. And that should be the inside on both sides that I can measure for that stretcher and go ahead and cut it. I have lined the angle cut. Oh, I just moved it. Anyway, I'm gonna line the angle cut up to the edge of my bench here so that I can measure out the height of what I need to do. And then I have to be sure to put a parallel angled cut on these. You don't want them opposite because it won't work out right. You want that same angle cut to be on the ground as you have meeting your bench when those legs splay out. So let's measure these. I actually just used my workbench to lay this all out. I measured up and marked on my workbench where it needed to be. Then, as I showed you, I flushed it up on that one side and I was able to transfer my mark to my board. After I had one of my legs cut, I could just use it to trace out the length for all of the other legs. Just line up the long side to the long side and trace it with a pencil. Remember, we've cut an angle on these, so you got to pay attention to what you're doing. I'm going to be using this Craig jig to create some pocket holes in the legs. Those will then get secured upward into the top piece, and that should be a good way to attach these with making them pretty hidden. You can pick up these jigs pretty inexpensively. This one comes with an entire kit that has the bit and the case and a few screws and different things anyway, but there are different levels of it. I'll link to some of those below. The gist of it is you just clamp this jig down. Once you get everything set properly, you drill your holes and then you use the proper size screws to attach the hidden screws. Let's do it. Even though this is a rustic bench, this board had a decent amount of cup in it because it had been sitting outside. Remember, I said I got it for free, so you take what you can get.
I ran it through the planer a few times to get rid of some of this cup and just clean it up. So obviously that seems kind of opposite of what you would do with a rustic bench, but I'll show you later how we kind of get some more patina and kind of an aged look back into the thing. I went ahead and sanded off all of the splinters and stuff on the leg pieces where I had cut everything just so that it was ready for assembly. Especially with these legs having angles on them like they do, I decided to set up boards so that I could bump the legs up against my board that I have clamped there and know that the leg is going to be positioned in the right spot. That way there's no slippage or moving as I'm driving in these screws, and everything seemed to go quite well this way. Since I am using stain later, I am pretty careful to get all of the glue squeeze out off because that will affect the way your stain takes. It was time to make the little cross piece that goes in between those two splayed legs. The angle should be the same, 15 degrees as the other ones, but just because I'm not perfect and these are 2x4s, they're definitely not going to be perfect. I started out trying to measure this and just cut it to my measurement. That proved to be a little bit off, so next I moved to setting the board on the actual legs where it would go, and I would just mark where I needed to cut, more of a referential measurement, and that seemed to work out fine. I waited until now to do the long stretcher that goes between the two sets of legs because I wanted to be sure to get those legs where I wanted them, and then from that point it doesn't really matter. It's not a certain number I'm trying to hit. I'm really just trying to make it hit exactly on the two little angled cross stretchers that I made.
We want this bench to look pretty rustic, and how I would normally do that is hitting it with different tools. Different things are going to make kind of different impressions. I've also kind of back dragged it on the bandsaw, which gives it kind of a rough sawn look on those edges. I didn't want it to look this clean, but I had to clean it up because it was so cupped. So I'm going to attempt that same back dragging effect since it's already assembled using the jigsaw, and hopefully that will look just about as good, but we'll see how it goes.
I just kept doing this until I was satisfied with it, and then I did a quick round over on the top of the bench.
Now it's time to distress this thing a little bit. I've got my daughter that's going to help me. We've got a variety of different tools like a hammer, one of these roofing tacking hammers, some channel locks. We're going to use chain, a ball peen hammer, all kinds of different stuff. We're just going to make it look kind of rustic. The dragging method worked pretty well with the jigsaw. After I sand that, I think it'll look a lot more authentic and old. But anyway, we're going to get going on this and just beat it up. Take like this big old thing. That looks cool. All right, you want to do it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like this?
Yeah, that's fine.
What?
Maybe, yeah.
Hey, look.
Maybe do this like on an angle so it'll get that rounded part. Like that. Yeah.
Try another?
Yeah. Oh, that was
Whoa.
kind of crazy.
Let's try the other side.
We can hit it again. There you go.
Oh, cool.
Do it on the edges. Go around that side. That's kind of different. And this one we can do just like rough up a couple spots on the front. It kind of does. No, don't get a hold of that because it's rough. Just hold it by the handle.
And then I'm going to try doing the corners. Like I said I would.
Don't hit your leg. That's the rough side. You can do the soft side like this. And it's a little less harsh. We're just going to take it and go like. You want to do it? Just grab it like this. Don't get your hand under it. There you go. There you go. All right, let me.
I used a little trim sander to get off any little bits of glue, that way the stain would not react with it funny, and just kind of touch up any spots that I felt like needed more sanding. All that's left really now is to stain this. We chose a medium brown colored stain. It's gonna make kind of that distressing that I did show up a little bit better everywhere that we kind of dinged it and dented it and scuffed it. It's gonna kind of get in there a little bit darker. But I'm gonna get to doing that and we'll just about be done with this bench. I really like this rustic bench in its place. It's the only thing rustic in there, and I think it kind of looks good. Everything else is modern looking. This is one of many videos in the Master Closet Renovation series, so if you haven't checked those out, I'll link to them below. Thanks for watching.